Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of City Skylines, the Aurelia city. So, after starting the Island City project and building its entrance last time, I would like to move to the sides of the lake and start finishing it there. So, today we will move right to the place where the train leaves the Island City and continues into the downtown. We will build some medium density residential area in here, do some detailing and, the usual. So, let's go. So the reason for me choosing this area is because I really want to push for the completion of the surroundings of this train line, so I can finally have it completely done and just do some of those nice cinematic shots, how the train just goes on the line. Everything around the tracks is completely done. So this place is going to do exactly that. It's going to form one portion of the parts around this train line. Now, if I really want to complete this entire train line, that's obviously going to take a whole lot of time still. So we are not really going to see the actual train ride episode just yet. It's actually going to be quite a long time because we need to finish a really huge portion of the city still. But it obviously doesn't hurt if we already start in here. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So, like I said, this place is going to be something like a medium density suburbs, maybe we can already call them, because it's going to have some medium rise buildings, residential buildings, and maybe some other structures as well. For example, this building right on the side of the lake and this little angled building as well. I'm kind of considering that curved building to be maybe some sort of a hospital or maybe like a hotel, something like that. Really doesn't really matter. And the center of this place is probably going to be some residential areas and kind of a self-sustained, self-sufficient city. I'm not sure if that's the correct word here. Basically a place that has like the schools and doctors and all that, shops all in one place, so people don't really need to leave this place if they want to do and visit all these places. They obviously probably need to go to work to the downtown, but that's why I built the train station right in the middle of this area. It's obviously the train station that goes on the train line that I'm talking about. So this place is, at first I really wanted to have it as some sort of a break from all the procedural objects and detailing in the Island City project, and it actually fulfilled that role quite nicely. But later, I don't really want to spoil it too much if we don't see it in the time lapses just yet. But later, I just couldn't help it. So there's gonna be some detailing with the procedural objects as well, but only just light detailing like that. So this place is definitely not going to be all that super messy, like for example the downtown area is. It's going to have very orderly, organized streets, I suppose, more American-like streets, I guess. Not all that organic shapes or something like that. It's going to have 90 degrees quite a lot, four-way intersections. It's obviously having the main avenue going through this place, which is obviously the road that goes pretty much all the way from the downtown all the way to the Island City. So it's the main entrance to the Island City. Now, if you remember from the previous episodes, you can even see that bridge over there. This road is then continuing along the lake somewhere else. There's probably going to be some kind of a highway connection further down this main avenue building, this avenue road, but we will see. But now, for the most important part of today's episode, I downloaded these things. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they are called in the game, but they are part of the Quad collection. The Quad collection is basically a collection of all futuristic looking buildings, and it also has these sort of triangles. Now, they are supposed to be placed inside the water, but I decided to just decorate the shore of the lake with these. Now, what are these? Well, they're just decorations, really. At least I treat them as decorations. They're kind of looking like a futuristic man-made, I don't know, some lily pads maybe, or something like that. And I suppose that they could be accessed by people, or accessible, I guess is the word. and maybe there could be some sort of a restaurant, or I don't know, galleries or museums, maybe something like that. There's no real entrance to those buildings though. Maybe from the underground, maybe there could be some sort of an entrance, but like I said, I mostly consider them to be a decoration, and it's a really good decoration actually. I think I'm going to just cover the entire lake all around the island city with these, because it really does look interesting, and I especially like the color combinations, the green on these triangles, and the orange obviously for the island city, and all the white buildings in here in these suburbs. I think the color combinations in here are really working together. Now these are the procedural objects that I talked about. So these triangles are quite big, and I really wanted to make them fit all these little detailed places, like for example where the train obviously enters the mainland, right? So I decided to use procedural objects and make like a halved version or half size version of these triangles, and it works. It actually works quite nicely, as you can see over here. By the way, I'm pretty sure that you're going to notice it, so I'm going to say right away that I did not really bother too much, and it was kind of an intention as well to not have it all that super symmetrical, all these triangles. So they are positioned a bit randomly, to be completely honest. I was not even trying all that super hard to make them like in some sort of a pattern, right? So I'm just saying it right away because it is obvious that it is like that. I was not really sure how to do the detailing or whatever kind of structures at the start of the lake. So exactly in this place where the train goes into the water. So I decided to do this. It was kind of an experiment at this point still, but I kept it because I really liked it, how it actually turned out. So I made this little, how do we even call it, like a little bay for, well, that's not really a bay, just, I don't know, a river, tiny bit of a river maybe. I just made the water go all the way to the train station and made this kind of a cut into the mainland where the water still goes. And I obviously put the triangles, so the procedural, the half-sized triangles in there, and it actually does look really good. I definitely think that it's looking much better than some sort of, if I put some sort of buildings in there. This one definitely is much better. So right at the start of the video, you could have seen me put that, this round building. I'm not exactly sure again how it's called. I downloaded quite a lot of stuff actually for today's episode, so I don't remember the names of it, but this is supposed to be some sort of a museum, architectural museum, something like that. I think you could have actually seen that in the opening shots, that I also used the painter mod to make that building a bit darker because it's too much bright in there. But there was a problem because that building contains a lot of sub buildings, and Aurelia has this slight issue, and it's the fact that it doesn't really have tourist attractions. So every time I put some kind of a building that has moderately high tourist attractiveness, that building gets immediately like totally flooded with tourists. So this building had a lot of sub buildings that actually acted as tourist attractions, but I had to just switch all of them in the Rico configurations for some sort of a residential building, just so it wouldn't attract attention. So I was constantly just demolishing that building and building it again every time I noticed that it probably is not exactly right. So that's why it's very bright in these shots, but I already painted it more black in the opening shots because I just kept destroying the building over and over. But I think that in the last cinematics it is going to be correctly colored, right? Anyway, so doing some more detailing, just finishing up these little details in the surroundings of the train station. Now, the train station is definitely not going to be finished like 100%, and this place is not going to be finished after today's episode by 100% because it is big. I think that I'm probably going to use the same style of building, maybe even same buildings really, in a really big area around the park, the central park, however you want to call the big park in Aurelia. So like I said, the places, these huge areas that are basically or completely empty between the island project and the park, are probably going to be done in a very, very similar way. So that's going to take us a couple of episodes. I think I'm probably going to focus on different projects in the future and maybe just here and there build some, tiny little portions of these areas so that it's slowly going to get finished. Now, speaking about different projects that I'm going to do in the very near future, actually in like really near future, probably in the next episode, is something to do with the lake itself, because the lake is obviously going to be somehow connected to the main river. Now, the main river is some 30 or 40 meters lower, I think, than the water level in the lake. So there's going to be some issues connecting those places. I don't think that I'm going to connect them, like, functionally connect them so that water flows from the lake into the river, because that would probably mess with the water levels at the main dam further down the river, which is something that I took a long time to actually make it just right. So I don't really want to mess with that. But I think that I'm going to make some sort of smaller dams or smaller just hydroelectric power plants maybe at the start of the lake, or well, at the, how do you even call that place? Well, there's going to be just tiny little rivers going from the lake and entering the big river, right? And I think that I'm going to make two smaller dams on those rivers. They will have to be quite tall, like I said, because the height difference is quite significant. But it's just going to be an interesting project. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to build two of them, if maybe the one river is just not going to be there or something like that, but definitely one. And like I said, that's probably something that I would like to do in the next episode. I will see how it's going to go, because if I think back to the big dam that I built on the big river, it took a really long time. So I would probably do something smaller, some smaller scale project. It's probably going to have some maybe industrial buildings around it. Maybe it's going to have trams go over it. That's something that I actually planned, because we do have a tram line actually aiming in that direction already from the downtown. So it's just something that's going to be quite interesting to see how it's going to turn out. But we are just not there yet, or not yet really, because we still are in episode 43, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself in here. So what's exactly happening and what am I doing in here? I'm just detailing this one block of these residential buildings. That building in the middle of this block is an elementary school, I think. And I also decided to do these garage entrances, the underground garage entrances, and detail around them to just blend the surfaces a bit more. Now, the problem with these buildings, those garage entrances, is that they have to clip the terrain so that obviously the road can go underneath the ground level, which means that it needs to have some sort of a model around the rounded part of the building, which is obviously not looking the same as my texture for the pavement. So I had to put those little tiny tiles of the pavement around all that to blend the surfaces and make it even blended with those little pedestrian paths. This place is definitely going to end up being very green, and not just because of those triangles, but also because there's going to be a lot of places completely open and just filled with trees and flowers and, just detailings and decorations. That's the case, for example, with the block that surrounds the train station. By the way, you will see that in the cinematics again. Like I said, this place is going to have a lot of 90 degrees, and it's going to be very orderly positioned. Like from geometry's point of view, it's going to be very, very uniform. But the train station itself, the tracks are curved, and they are even arriving into this place at a certain angle. That's not exactly like 45 degrees or some nice angle, but it's just some sort of a random angle, and I think it's going to look really nice that the train is going to cut through this place and just make itself look very, very unique. Geometrically, I guess, the tracks, or at least, that's just something that I just thought that might be looking good. So we are now moving to this curved building, and we're going to do something in front of it. At first I thought that this building is going to be some sort of a like lake resort or a hotel, thing like that. But it occurred to me that it's not really going to make much sense, because the lake is not really all that great, all that big. And, the view from the hotel would not be all that super touristy, really, because all you can see is the island city. So I decided to do something different and maybe treat this building as some sort of a clinic or just like a hospital, but not really the hospital. I'm not sure how it's called in English. Basically the kind of hospital where patients go for like a long time to just recover from some injuries or something like that, you know, just so they don't you know, they are not physically present in some sort of a like a very noisy hospital downtown, for example, but in some sort of a more calm area outside of the main city. So maybe this building could be exactly it. So doing some detailing in front of it, decided to put this key in here instead of some piers with boats, because like I said, I don't think those would make much sense, and I was really afraid of doing that even because I have zero experience from doing projects like that. So maybe in the future we will do something like that, but I don't think that on this map it's exactly suitable. But anyway, that was almost done. We were kind of going through that very, very fast. I was just putting some, you know, normal decorations in that place, just like I'm finishing the rest of these areas. So we still have one tiny little project that needs to be done, and that's in front of that that angled building that's on the side of the lake again. Now we need to build some sort of a main square. Well, not really a main square, but just a square, because this place is definitely going to need it. It might have made more sense now in retrospect when I see this to build this place closer to the train station, but you know, it still definitely is fine to have it in here in front of this building. It definitely makes more sense to have it at the side of the main street, which we definitely have over here. So this place is going to have a tiny bit of these commercial buildings. I'm not sure if they are going to be used by people, but just in case they're not, I put a whole lot of different pedestrian paths through this area, and obviously the park people generators so people can hang out, and you know, just so this place is alive and stuff like that. So making it kind of green as well. Well, not really right now, putting a whole lot of concrete in here, but it's going to end up very green because I put a lot of these hedgerows in here, and those are going to be filled. The places that the hedgerows are marking are going to be filled with all kinds of decorations, all kinds of flowers and trees and all that. By the way, I downloaded quite a lot of new trees and bushes, not really for this episode, but after making this episode. So I'm definitely going to use those in the future, because I feel like the city needs a bit more variety in this regard. But we will see. In this place, I don't really mind the trees that I'm using, but I feel like I want to have something fresh. Anyway, guys, I'm just going to finish this rather quickly, and that's gonna mark the end of today's episode. So I already kind of spoiled plans for the next episode. That's probably going to be some sort of a small dam project that's going to be connecting the lake with the main river. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. It's going to be a lot of experimenting, probably, so we just need to see how it's going to look like in the end. So thank you guys for watching episode 43 of the Aurelia City. Enjoy the cinematics. If you liked the episode, then you can always put a thumbs up underneath it, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Take care and goodbye.